I'm sure that, like me, you're watching in horror at the scenes coming out of Ukraine as President Putin continues his illegal invasion of that country. And it might seem crass right now to talk about the impact of those events on our portfolios while there's so much human suffering going on. But at times like this, my clients here at Jackson's Wealth look to me for reassurance and some kind of insight. I am charged with helping them achieve their financial life goals through fair weather and foul, after all. So I want to share with you some of my thoughts in this video as if you were a client of mine. Hi and welcome back to the channel. My name is Pete Matthew. I'm a chartered financial planner based here in the UK, and I've been putting up videos here on YouTube for more than 10 years, giving you everything you need to know and everything you need to do to secure your financial future. Now, right at the top of the video here, I want you to know that any revenue that comes from this video will be donated to the Disasters Emergency Committee to go some small way to helping those who really need it at this terrible time. And towards the end, I'm going to be pointing you towards two other videos by creators that I admire and who take a slightly different tack to me, going more into the mechanics of what might be affected by the unfolding crisis. I want you to watch those videos after we've dealt with the emotional side of investing in such times. At times like this, we see a significant uptick in volatility. Markets, and hence our investments, which are invested in those markets, start to move around much more violently. And we saw that on Thursday, the 24th of February, when the UK market fell over 3.5% in one day. And then on the following day, Friday the 25th, it rose by nearly 4%. Those kinds of day-to-day movements are not normal, and hence it's worrying. And when we're worried, we feel a desperate need to do something, anything. Because if we're doing something, then at least we are active instead of just sitting idly by. This is our fight or flight reflex kicking in, the primitive part of our brain that is great at physical survival, but woefully unevolved for dealing with the complex decision making that is needed for multi-decade investing. Let me be clear, successful investing comes down to avoiding mistakes and remaining calm, no matter what the markets are doing. We must rein in our lizard brain lest it derail our plans completely. Now, if you've watched this channel for any length of time or listened to the podcast, you'll know that I'm an advocate of very simple, passive, multi-asset investing. This spreads your money over thousands of companies all across the world and into governments too. And if we dig into that just a little bit, what you have is companies all around the world all working away, trying to make profit and add value to the sum of human existence. And it's just unthinkable that most of those companies won't be there in the future because of what's going on right now. In fact, there's compelling evidence that markets, which are just the sum of the value of all those companies, markets generally do very well after times of conflict. If you hold on long enough, you will benefit from this growth. So you might think then that it makes sense to bail out of your investments into cash for a while and then go back in when things return to normal. Sounds logical that, but it really isn't. You will have heard the adage about time in the market rather than timing the market, right? Well, if you do pull out into cash, you actually have to make two timing decisions. One about when to come out and the other about when to go back into the markets. The odds of you getting one call right are minuscule, and doubling the number of decisions makes it just infinitely more likely that you'll get it wrong. And I've seen people try to do this in my 20-odd years as a financial advisor, not many under my watch, I'm pleased to say, but it just never ends well. People sell out too late, crystallizing the majority of the downside. And then they get back in too late, missing the majority of the gain. In the credit crisis of 2007-8-9, the biggest single day for outflows from investments, people taking their money out, coincided with the lowest point of the market. The majority of people waited until the bottom to get out. Well, that can be catastrophic for your future financial health, so please don't be tempted to do that. If you are investing for multiple decades, you can be assured that there will be many more financial and geopolitical crises in the future. How you act throughout these events will shape your finances for the rest of your life. Having a long-term mindset means that we can lift our heads out of the short-term mess and focus instead on the longer-term future, especially when the short term is filled with stuff that we just can't control. And that's a key message of Stoic thinking, that we should focus on the stuff we can control and try not to sweat the stuff that we just can't. We obviously can't control the actions of a madman or the market's response to those actions, but we can control our own response, and we must do everything we can to stay the course, thinking long-term and not short term. Now, I promised you a couple of other videos for you to watch, and the first is by Damien Talks Money. I really like Damien's approach, and he handles the subject, I think, very, very well. He goes into some detail about what the likely impact will be on specific areas of the economy. But then for a real deep dive on that subject, if you're interested, you should definitely watch Pension Craft's video on the subject. Roman released that video the day before the invasion began, but it's a really brilliant summary of the key issues and looks at how things have happened and behaved in previous conflicts. Both of those videos are linked in the description below the video. So I want to finish with a quote from Nick Murray, who's kind of the advisor to advisors in the US and across the world. My thanks to Andy Hart of MeaningfulMoney for bringing this quote to my attention. And the quote says this: "A permanent loss in a well-diversified equity portfolio is a human achievement of which the market itself remains incapable." In other words, the markets will not destroy your wealth in the long term. They will build wealth for you. Only we can destroy our own future wealth, and we do that with bad decisions. So let's not do that. My thoughts and prayers are with everyone suffering in Ukraine. God bless you all. Thanks, folks, for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.